morning to you, my dear viewer. Amazing obedience. My name is King Kamsi, and this is the Obidati Family TV. And this show at this time is called The Possible Nigeria, where we look into dissecting the manifesto of the Labour Party, the pact that Peter Obi and Dati Yusuf Baba Ahmed has with the Nigerians. And I'll be doing that alone. Of course, I have Ibe Chuks here with me. Chuks, how are you doing?
I'm good, Kamsi. How are you doing?
I'm feeling very good. It's an amazing morning for me, being that we're getting closer to the end of what we seem to be the longest month of the year.
I'm telling you. We can't wait.
Okay, definitely. And that's how we'll be kickstarting today. We'll be discussing extensively the first point on the manifesto, which is securing Nigeria, according to our principal and his running mate, Yusuf Dati Baba Ahmed. They've decided and put into points that the first agenda when they get into power is securing this nation. And everybody knows that without security, nothing works in the country.
That's true.
We could date back to the days when we saw insurgency on the high in the north, and just when we thought that the north was having its all, it moved down to the southeast, to the southwest, and
Almost everywhere now.
sweeping, throughout the 6 geopolitical zones of the nation. So it's no longer a regional situation; it's now a national
Situation.
red alert situation. And at this time, securing Nigeria is one heavy point that our party, the Labour Party, has been able to speak about emphatically as the first point, being the first thing that will be instituted once the government of Peter Obi gets into full run administration come May 29th, 2023. And I have a guest here on the show today that we're going to be discussing with myself and Chuks. We'll be discussing with concerning the security situation of the nation, and also looking at ways that we could, or the presidential candidate of the Labour Party could impact Nigeria to get it secured, and of course put all our systems, the institutions already put in place, and make them fully functional and give them more motivation to work perfectly and grant us the peaceful nation that we hope to have. Okay, so I want to quickly introduce Mr. Umar Ibrahim, who is the youth leader of the Obedience Movement, one of the youth leaders of the Obedience Movement, and also a great advocate of good governance. And I also want to add that he is a member of the Labour Party out there in Kaduna State. You're welcome, Mr. Umar Ibrahim. Please, can we hear you?
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me on the show this morning. It's a beautiful morning, and I want to discuss and dissect our pact with Nigerians. So I am really elated being here, and I hope the discussion will be fruitful as it's supposed to be. Thank you.
Definitely, we're looking at getting straight into the pact. It was a very bulky pact. So we're dealing with security basically today. I want to start off by asking, there in Kaduna, we've heard countless of times of situations of terrorism, insurgency, happening in that area in Kaduna. I want you to give us an insight to it. A lot of people have, made claims that this might be political. It might be a political, it might be enhanced by politics. A lot of people are saying, no, it's strictly religious. Whilst other people are saying, no, it's none of this. It's just the usual crime we have in society. So give us a brief look into that, even before we start discussing, how Mr. Peter Obi can, really want to clear up this situation and ways that he can.
Okay. Thank you very much. And I hope I'm audible enough.
Yes, you're audible enough.
Thank you very much. The insecurity in Kaduna and
Okay, Mr. Ibrahim. there's been a pause. I think it should be probably the reception.
And maybe the network.
Yes.
But to add to what you're saying, Kamsi, I think vital part of not just every nation, but every community too. And we all know that security inhibits investment. No investor will want to come to a place where he's not sure of, the security of not just his resources, both human resources and capital resources. So I think it's one of the major challenges we have in the country. We all know that.
Very true.
And is preventing the attraction of people that want to.
Okay, Mr. Ibrahim, do we have you back now? I think there's a very poor reception
Is this
from
his network?
Okay, what we still do with that?
I think we encourage you to maybe shift a little bit from where it is. Maybe try to call back and see whether you will have a better network.
Ibrahim, we're losing your audio at some point. Okay. Much better now. Much better now.
Insecurity, especially in the northwest region where Kaduna State is located, and then largely, in fact, towards the middle belt, Soka, Plateau, and southern Kaduna parts of the country. It's been one that has been there for years, for decades. But then because of the absence of social media, say in the 80s and 90s, people were not really aware of those things. And then coupled with the military suppression of news at the time, So that's why most of these things are coming as very new to people. And then, of course, it gives awareness, with the social media awareness, it makes people now realize that, there are people in Nigeria, in certain parts of Nigeria, who've been going through so much insecurity, so much killings, so much political suppression and all that. And nobody was aware at the time, until the social media thing. However, discussing the problem I think if we want to dissect it, I'll blame two aspects of leadership in the country. One, insincerity, from our leaders all along played a very, very, key role in aggravating the situation that we're facing in the Northwest, in Kaduna State particularly. And then there is also political suppression, which the Southern Kaduna people have suffered for some time. In fact, since the state was created.
Thank you. Exactly. What you just drew in front of us, the situation in Southern Kaduna. But I want to dwell on the problem for a long time, because we're out here to tell people why that situation, why the oppression and every other thing you've put inclusive would be dealt with. Looking at drawing context from the pact that your party, our party, has with Nigerians at this time. So let's look at the first item of that pact, which is securing Nigeria. That's a very direct question. What do you think that will be drawn from that manifesto that will directly in Kaduna? Before speaking about
please take that question again. Take that question.
What do you think that will be drawn from the manifesto? Which of the solutions, because it's a solution, or there are solutions and other solutions in that manifesto. So which particular solution do you think will be drawn from that manifesto that can handle the situation or the security situation in Southern Kaduna at this time?
Very much. I think if you look at our pact with Nigerians holistically and the solutions that Peter will be preferred in that manifesto, you would realize basically that It is what leadership is about. First and foremost, accessibility, which he clearly showed in that manifesto, where you don't wait for people to bring this information to you. He has already seen these things. He has already worked out modalities to be able to get first-hand information. I think that in itself is a win already. That alone is a win already for PO, for Labour Party, and for the Obileti ticket. Accessibility. He enumerated that very well in his manifesto. Then also, talking to local, and that is the key, talking to those local leaders who are directly affected, gleaning out solutions from them, not the kind of situation where we have not political solution. Peter Obi is totally drawing away out of political solution and making, solving these situations with solution proffered by people, locals of that area. I think that in itself alone is enough to take care of every insecurity situation in the country, whether it is in Zamfara, in the Kaduna situation you're asking me about, or in the southeast. You understand? Using the local leaders, religious, traditional leaders, public opinion shapers in those localities to proffer solutions on how to mitigate this kind of situation. I think basically it's already a win. Then before we go into other details like employment, employability, agricultural revolutions that will see people come out of poverty and will no longer have to go into this.
I love that you mentioned, the locality.
Yes.
And that is one of the points, that we've been taking and riding on. And a lot of people have complained even in the past about multi-level policing,
yes,
from the federal to the states and even down to the local government. And now you've pointed out, let's look into that. Do you think multi-level policing could also be the solution to the problem in Southern Kaduna? Yes. Could you give me more insight on that?
Well, a dicey one, considering the kind of leaders we've had. So I wouldn't say yes altogether, but I think that to a large extent, if we have leaders with empathy, leaders who are committed to the general good of the citizens, we would multi-level policing will solve the situation in the country. Sorry, hold on a bit. Sorry, I
know you've been distracted there.
No, actually, I have a team I work with always, and they're just stepping in. Okay. My great think tank team in Kaduna here, whom we work with in projecting Peter Obi and our state governorship candidate Asake. So I have the docs and medics for Peter Obi, their coordinator. I have a PPGN coordinator and the secretary here seated.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. So multi-level policing, like you said, is actually the solution to Nigeria's insecurity. I agree. However, we have leaders who are not empathetic enough, to understand what people are going through, and where opposition think or where opposition speak out, we have a kind of politics in Nigeria where we tend to suppress, even with military power, suppress opposition voices. So it gives a lot of fear from people when it comes to this multi-level policing, because if this power rests in the hands of some of these governors in the country, trust me that opposition voices would totally be annihilated completely in certain states of this country. I can give you, for example, in Kaduna State here, we have the situation. You talk about Kogi State, we have the situation where opposition voices. So when you
We keep getting this
Give them
interruption.
power. The local government autonomy bill. I didn't get that.
There's a bit of interruption with the network.
Hello.
But Ibrahim, we're still going to have you on the flip side today to have more discussions concerning the updates emanating from the Labour Party camp, and I'm sure you're also in the strategy meeting.
Okay. Am I audible now?
Us on. But we might have to let you go because of interruption happening at this time.
In the background. Okay. Okay. I don't know. Maybe we'll reschedule on at the time that because we actually have Obidati meeting right now.
Yes. Yeah. So maybe you can share more insights from the meeting after. Maybe in the night would be better if we can reschedule this like in the night where the noise is a bit muffled. Definitely, we'll reach out to you. The team will reach out to you. Thank you so much, Mr. Ibrahim. Thank you so much.
Yes, and I'll be glad to be here next time. Thank you.
Conversation with Mr. Ibrahim Umar, who is a member of the Labour Party and also one of the youth leaders of the Obedience movement. And you can see he's already in a strategy meeting with the other Obidati members. Hopefully we'll have him join us later in the day to share more insight from that meeting. I want to go on a quick break. When we get back, myself and Chuks here will be looking more into the pacts with Nigerians and talk a bit about how we could secure Nigeria with our principal, Mr. P2B. Please don't go anywhere. It's Obidati Family TV. Thank you.
Are you planning a trip to Anambra State, Nigeria, and you need a place of comfort, a place to relax and catch some fun? Well, Don Rees Hotel and Suites Oka is the place to be. Don Rees Hotel is equipped with luxurious rooms ranging from the standard rooms, the deluxe rooms, the executive rooms, the presidential suites, apartments with special features. The amenities in this room include a smart TV with multiple TV channels, the king-size wardrobe, the uninterrupted power supply, the water heater, free Wi-Fi, and more. They will treat you with a complimentary breakfast from their exquisite cuisine, not leaving out their superior waiting loud and exciting bar. The outdoor area has a casino and games with stylish swimming pool and exercise arena. The gym, of course, is enabled with sporting gadgets for your physical fitness. The grandeur of Don Rees environment leaves you in total awe. Visit Don Rees Hotel and Suites today and experience the comfort away from home.
Obidati Family TV, ladies and gentlemen, it's Stu Kamsi and Chuks.
Yeah, still here.
Chuks, you listen to the conversation with Umar Ibrahim out there in Kaduna doing the beautiful work of the movement. But quickly, he mentioned the localities and speaking to the religious leaders in locality, which was not specifically pointed out in the manifesto, but is also one of the practical ways, because we keep saying the criminals in society, they have brothers, they have friends, they have people who actually know that they operate. By the time you're able to get at a level or to a connection where you're speaking to this person and that person, you're able to understand that very soon people will start coming out and saying, okay, I know this and I understand that. And it could be one of the practical solutions that's brought into the government of Mr. P2B and Yusuf Datti Baba Ahmed to be able to curb insecurity in not just the northeast, not just the southeast, not just the northwest, but in every other place in Nigeria. So I also want to know, what do you think about multi-level policing?
Yeah, I think it's been a subject, a topic that's been widely discussed, even prior to this election, especially the importance of community policing, because like you rightly stated, these bandits, or criminals as you might call them, are not strangers. Most of them live among us. They live among us. Most of them are even, could be friends, could be relatives that we might not know. So if the community are in partnership with the government when it comes to policing, it can actually go a long way. And I think that is what our principal has cited, has adopted in one of his security strategies, I believe, to be able to integrate the community itself when it comes to security.
Security.
Because these people, they're not animals, they are human beings. They live among us. So, and I believe if you have the collaboration of these communities with the state policing agency or outlet, it can, because the police, they are not immortals.
Yeah,
They're
very
human
true.
beings. They need information to work. They need partnership to work. The police can't just work alone. The army or every other security agency.
Just like you rightly pointed out, they need information to work, and that is also another content of the manifesto. Putting in technological ways to be able to, because like you said, they're not strangers, they live among us, and every day we see new technology spring up in different parts of the world. And these days, just by a tap on a button, you could fetch someone's location from anywhere in the world. Speak about how the United States was able to spot Osama bin Laden, and different other situations like that. Why can't we have that technology in Nigeria? And that's a question a lot of Nigerians have asked, but that is possible with Mr. Peter Obi's administration, because he stated it already. And we'll also look at other varying ways where technology can be used to curb insecurity. There was an interview where the principal made mention of these kidnappers, in quotes. They use phones to make calls.
Yeah, that's true.
Those SIM cards are registered with a particular network provider.
Yeah. Mr. Kamsi, honestly, I think the good things are for once in this country, we are having a leader, an incoming leader that understands the use of technology when it comes to security. I think that is one good thing about His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi. He understands, because he can't fight security in this modern age without, you can't fight insecurity rather, without technology. You rightly mentioned the people using mobile phones. You can easily use mobile phones to track down, these criminals, because they make calls.
Very true.
Take, for instance, kidnappers. They call their victims, relatives, to make demands for ransom and all that.
Yeah.
These are via, and most of them don't use encrypted phone where it's okay, because it's not easy to afford most times, and you can't just get it, that easily. So they make call via open lines. And you're not telling me that we can't easily track down these criminals.
Those criminals with
so
using this. But also, there has to be a sort of understanding. Now, that's drawing us back to the multi-level policing. There has to be some sort of understanding between the national police, the state police,
that's right, and the community.
And the community police.
That's true.
That's where it would aid the work. And right now, it just seems like we have a scattered system stated there in the manifesto. And if you have a chance, I would advise every Nigerian, every well-meaning Nigerian, to pick up a copy of that manifesto and read it. It explains clearly how every level of policing will be an entity of its own, but still gives them the room for collaboration with each other. So you won't have to wait from an order above to perform a particular task. And that's one of the things that we see in Nigeria today. And you can report a case and they're telling you we're waiting from an order from above to execute,
they can swing into action.
swing into action. And that is uncalled for. But at this level, we can have single entities in collaboration, but could still perform tasks on their own without waiting from an instruction from someone who is probably going to give an instruction when it's eventually late to swing into action. And also, we could speak greatly about the motivation of the security personnel, just as stated.
That's very vital too, because I mean they are the ones that will implement these functions and get to use them to function. So if you don't motivate them properly, it might dampen their spirit to actually go out and work. So, and I think we're talking about a possible Nigeria, and this is it. We have a running candidate, someone vying for the presidency, that understands inclusion of all the sectors, because getting the technology available is one thing, then the people that will do it
is another thing.
Getting them motivated, getting them prepared for the job, getting them trained to use this thing. And if you look at the manifesto, I think it captures all these areas. Do you understand? And I think for once, Nigerians are optimistic that things will get better, especially security-wise.
Very, very optimistic. But when we speak mostly about the angle of the motivation, I remember having a conversation with a friend who happens to be a police officer, and one of the first things you notice about police officers during conversations is they always complain about the very, permit me for lack of a better word, the very useless money that they are being paid as salaries, you know, and their take home monthly is nothing to write home about, and most of them end up, you know, doing a lot of things, you know, some very, very unspeakable and very despicable things.
Turn into bad cops.
Just so they could make ends meet, because they have families, and you can't be paying a family man very little amount and expect him to be dedicated. So that was one of the things pointed out there in the manifesto, motivation. And sometimes, because I know on the 15th of January we celebrated the Armed Forces Day, you remembered, you know, the fallen heroes and all of that. And some of those fallen heroes that we celebrate every January 15th lost their life a long time ago, but no one has sent words to their family from the federal government.
No form of compensation.
No form of compensation. Some of them were breadwinners to their families. So all of this were enshrined in, you know, in the manifesto, and it was talked about greatly. Nigerians need to understand that this is an opportunity. This is an opportunity for every Nigerian, for myself, for Chooks, for you.
Exactly.
We need a better Nigeria. We need Peter Obi. The Possible Nigeria is the name of the show. My name is Kamsi, and this is Chooks right here.
That's right.
With me, and we're dissecting the manifesto. Today we're looking at securing Nigeria, which is one of the first points that was, you know, taken up in the manifesto. And everybody agrees that without security in the nation, every other part of the nation would be falling into, you know, different pieces. Like investors won't come in. Besides investors not coming in, the investments you already have will be destroyed, because that's what the bandits, the insurgents, or whatever name
people will be scared to go out. People will be scared to travel. I mean, look at the transport system. People are very scared now to travel by road. I mean, if you want to go to Lagos from the east, unless for people that can afford it, that you know takes that risk. People, and now you have very high what do you call flight fares, like when it comes to tickets. So it's messed up, if you ask me. It's very messed up. Security in this country is a very big issue. It's a very big issue. We are all worried. Everybody's worried. And that is why I say that, for one, it seems like we have hope inside, because Peter Obi, if you ask me, is the only candidate so far that have come up with a viable outline of how he's going to curtail the security problem in this country, both in the north, southwest, southeast, everywhere. And we can't wait for him to get into action. We can't wait. Like, I mean, everybody's excited and hoping.
I want to look also back to the manifesto, and where, you know, he spoke about mass employment. And just as our guest, you know, earlier on the show, Mr. Ibrahim pointed out, one of the reasons why a lot of Nigerians today swing into all sorts of, you know, criminal activities and crime you know, is just to make ends meet. They're trying to feed. And even though that's not an excuse to be doing, you know, what they are doing, but that's the general excuse. You know, you get a kidnapper and he's telling you, I was kidnapping just so I could provide for myself and my family. And, you know, so it was also spoken about there in the manifesto. Lots and lots of Nigerians need to be employed. Job creation is one of the biggest steps towards securing a country.
And quick one, Kamsi, let me divert a little. Talking about security, he also talk about cybersecurity, and he mentioned something that is quite unique about you know, the young people, the youths that are, you know, trooping into cybercrime, and what he's going to do to curtail that. And he talked about rehabilitating and training these people, because these guys are equipped with IT skills. That is why they can do that and do successfully. So, and if you can integrate these young people and train them properly and empower them, they can actually, you know, use it in a positive way and use it for the betterment of the country.
And I love the fact, you know, that with all of this, it's a possibility. Looking at a country like India, India used to have one of the highest cyber crime rates in the world, but their government has begun to retrain and train most of them, for lack of a better word, to rehabilitate them. Yeah. And today we meet Indians at the highest level of positions in tech. Speak about the CEO of Google, speak about the CEO of a lot of other renowned tech companies. You're seeing Indians at the top, the board of directors, and this was because they were able to take out those brains that were in let's say call them the brains in the trash, because
and use them for good
and polish them, because these are golden abilities that could be taken. And when we speak about job opportunities, just like you said, rehabilitating them is a form of job opportunity.
Very well.
You teach them what they're supposed to know. A lot of situations that we face in the country today could be solved by tech. Sure. Why not take those brains that are into cybercrime and teach them properly? This is what Mr. Peter Obi and Yusuf Datti Baba Ahmed is going to do for myself, yourself,
ourselves,
and every other Nigerian out there. Okay, so it's time for us to, make way and go, take some ads, commercials, and we'll be right back. My name is Kamsi, and
I'm still Chuks right here.
Please stay with us. Okay, welcome back to Obi Datti Family TV. The program is The Possible Nigeria. The Nigeria we seek is possible. That's the aim of this program. It's still King Kamsi, and I'm here with
Chuks.
Chuks, it's been it's been a very tight situation in the country at this time, and everybody watching now, everybody listening, definitely knows one thing, and that is it is unsafe at this time to move around at a particular time of the day, even sometimes in broad daylight. We hear cases of people who get ambushed in broad daylight early in the morning going to work, and not even speaking about those or the worst that happens at the night time and very early hours of the day. But it still remains one thing, and that's the message we're here to preach, and that is the message of the Obi Datti movement. So I expect that every obedient at this time already waiting for the 25th of February, where every patriotic Nigerian will go to the poll and perform the right. It's a right and not a privilege. You go and exercise your rights on that day and make the right choice, and that's what we looking forward to. Security is a major concern, but people are also raising concerns about security on the day
somebody who can hope on. I mean, I'm tempted to use the word messiah, but I wouldn't use it because it sounds very serious. I think
you could use it.
Yeah,
Feel
like,
free. Feel free.
I'm so excited, and I see a lot of people. I saw a video that trended when our principal went to one there. I've forgotten the state actually. And there was this young mother that was crying so passionately.
Crying.
Yes, and she wasn't actually asking for money. She was just crying, telling him, "Daddy, you will win. You will win." And you're seeing the frustration of this woman that she's tired of.
Being through a lot in the hands of the past administration.
Exactly. And she's seeing hope, like she's looking at hope, and like she has this confidence, like Daddy, you will win and things will get better. And that is what we are telling every Nigerian watching, that this is going to be different. For once, we have hope, we have optimism that P2B will come in and wipe our tears, because we've cried so much, bro.
Yes, and it takes me to the issue of people who have turned to personal securities of themselves. Yes, we have to be security conscious, but at the same time, if you're a tax-paying citizen, then the least that the government could do for you is provide security to secure your businesses, to secure your transactions, to secure your day-to-day activities, to make sure that where the tax is coming from doesn't go down the drain. And that is what Mr. Peter Obi and his running mate Yusuf Dati Baba Ahmed, I just heard he added a new name,
to his name.
Yeah, to his name, an Igbo name actually, and definitely, these are one of the promises that they have decided
it's one Nigeria
and come together, as a party to be able to secure. And when you secure the country and you're sure that this man is not afraid of the next man, nobody is afraid of, getting harmed by the next person, automatically we're going to be having unity in the country. And that's one of the contents of the manifesto that we're definitely going to be discussing some other time on the show, and how unity will also foster Nigerians becoming the country we want, the possible Nigeria, the Nigeria that we've seen as a possibility. And day in, day out, a lot of people, wake up wondering, would they get to a time where the country is going to be better? But what we bring to you from Obidati family is a message of hope, a message of certainty, not just hope, a message of motivation, telling you that yes, that Nigeria that you want to be possible is possible. It's going to happen. It is definitely going to happen. The only way that is going to happen is when you go out on the day of election and cast your vote in the right manner and vote the candidate that is going to give you that which we want. And there's no other person who is going to do that if not Mr. Peter Obi. That's the presidential candidate of the Labour Party. Yes, so security, I want to end, or we will love to end on the note telling you that security has been a major challenge, but Nigeria can be secured. It is possible. It is possible.
Very possible.
Definitely is going to happen. So on this note, I just want to say thank you to everybody who tuned in on this edition of The Possible Nigeria. And thank you so much, Chooks. It's always amazing having you around and doing this with you. Definitely,
we'll be here same
time tomorrow, maybe earlier, to let you, in on some other things that have been enshrined in the manifesto. So till we meet again, we love you, but God loves you more. And remember to vote for Labour Party. Thank you.
And get your PVC if you haven't done that.